to read you Chapter 3, Part 2 of Attack of the Vampire Weenies and Other Warped and Creepy Tales by David Lubar. So anyway, let's get started. She followed the voice towards the woods, and then down the path she walked with Mary. When the words led to a crabapple tree, she wasn't surprised. Rachel looked up among the branches. She heard tales of wood gnomes from her grandmother. "Are you up there?" "No," Helen said. "Down here, behind the tree." Rachel forced her way through the brush, then knelt on the other side of the tree. The ground was covered with dead leaves and fallen branches. "Dig where the large root vanishes," Helen said. Rachel stood up and looked back toward her home. Digging made her think of worms and other unpleasant things. "Please," Helen said, "you're the only one who can help me." "Promise you won't hurt me," Rachel said. "I won't touch you," Helen said. Rachel knelt and grabbed a handful of dead leaves. The work wasn't difficult in the chilly night air. The ground was soft and spongy, but still she felt sweat start to bead on her forehead as she tossed aside the leaves and branches. Eventually, unexpectedly, her hand broke through to emptiness. Rachel gasped and fought for balance. "Careful," Helen said, after Rachel had steadied herself. "What is this?" Rachel prodded at the springy mass of vegetation. She heard about people stumbling across the opening in caves, but not here in the woods. The caves she knew of were high up in the hills across the river, not hidden behind crabapple trees. "An old well," Helen said. "How?" She wasn't sure of the right words to form the question. She pulled aside several more branches, but kept herself safely away from the expanding opening. "I fell in," Helen said. Rachel didn't understand how the opening could have gone covered so quickly. She was sure Helen must be starving. At least in her well there would be water. "Have you been there long?" "It feels like it," Helen said. "I couldn't really guess how long." "Is Mr. Jefferson still our president?" Rachel froze. Thomas Jefferson had been president right after John Adams, well more than 2 centuries ago. The broken branch in her hand suddenly felt far deader and drier than it had a moment ago. Minutes passed before she could speak again. "That was a long time ago. I was afraid of that, but I knew it must be so," Helen said. "All the water's dried up." "You're a ghost?" "I fear I must be. I'm trapped here. Nobody's heard me until now. I need help." The crabapple, Rachel thought. She looked at the roots of the tree that had grown deep into the ground near the well. "Help me," Helen said. "A ghost?" Rachel leaped to her feet and backed away from the opening. I have to go home." "No," Helen yelled. The force of the shout startled Rachel. "Please," Helen said. "I need to return the gold bracelet, then I'll be free." "Bracelet?" Rachel asked. "A beautiful gold bracelet, 2 diamonds and a ruby in it," Helen said. "Have you ever seen a ruby?" "Never," Rachel said. "They are so red they almost seem alive, and the diamonds always sparkle in the sunlight like dancing rainbows. I bet they're beautiful." Rachel had seen small diamonds on the other people's rings and necklaces, but she had never even seen a ruby or had a diamond she could call her own. "Martha Vanberg's father bought the bracelet for her," Helen said. "She boasted about all the time, and about her fancy dresses. I didn't have anything, so I took it. It was wrong. I know that." "Vanberg?" Rachel said. "There was an old woman in town by that name, Gwen Vanberg. She was always talking about how her family had lived on this land for centuries. I know that family." "And you can return the bracelet," Helen said. I knew this was meant to be." Rachel thought about the gold bracelet she had to see, the diamonds and ruby. "I'll come back tomorrow. My uncle has a long ladder." "No, you must do it now, while the bite of the apple is still in you," Helen said. After it is gone, you won't be able to hear me. Worse, I fear you won't remember me. You'll think all of this was a dream. It must be soon." That seemed odd to Rachel, but no odder than talking with the ghost of a girl who has died so very long ago. What didn't seem odd was the bracelet. That seemed essential. She needed to hold it, maybe even wear it. "How can I get it?" Rachel asked. "Can you toss it up to me? I can't touch things. My hands pass through them. There's a barn nearby, straight west of the tree. You'll find rope in there," Helen said. Rachel didn't like the idea of stumbling deeper into the woods. "How do you know it's still there?" "I I can see beyond the well sometimes, not far, and not always, but I know there's a barn and a row. Be careful, the barn is old, and the wood is wide. I would hate to see you get hurt out there. Rachel found the barn and the rope. When she returned, she tied one end of the rope around the crabapple tree and dropped the other into the opening. It's dark, she said. Not for me, Helen said. I'll guide you. Rachel knew she should turn and lead, but part of her needed to touch that bracelet. She grabbed the rope with both hands, tugged against the knot to be sure it would hold her weight, and then back toward the opening of the well. Promise me you'll return the bracelet, Helen said. I'll see that the bracelet goes where it belongs. Rachel said. Maybe it belongs with me, she thought, like Helen. She felt the word had given her less than she deserved. That was about to change. She could see the gold on her wrist already. She took a step down into the well, and then another. The wall of the well felt solid enough. This would be easier than she thought. The scream ripped through her ears like 1,000 tortured voices exploding in her head. It hit so hard it caused her real pain. Rachel slapped her hands over her ears. It was a reflex, but a deadly one. As she fell, she clutched desperately for the rope in the blind darkness. She missed. It was a long fall. Hello, Helen said. Rachel, too stunned to speak, yet looked at the girl. She was young, maybe 10 or 12, and pretty, with curly brown hair. Behind Helen against the wall of the well, Rachel saw a small skeleton. She looked down and saw her own lifeless body. She quickly looked away. Why? Rachel's mind felt numb. Like she was half awake on deep sleep. Her body felt nothing at all. I've been terribly lonely, Helen said, until now. But the bracelet, Rachel said. How can I return it? How can I help you be free? Oh, there's no bracelet, Helen said. That was a lie. A lie? Rachel couldn't believe the beautiful ruby never existed. I'm very good at lying. That's why I was being chased by the other children. That's how I fell into the old well. A touch of anger broke through Rachel's numbness. Then how was I supposed to set you free? I don't think there is a way, Ellen said. I'll suspect I'll be here forever, but not alone. Not now that I finally found someone to drop in and keep me company. So tell me all about yourself and about the world. How much has happened since Mr. Jefferson was elected? I'm never speaking to you again. Rachel started toward the top of the well and toward the world she left. You tricked me. You're a horrible person. Oh, you'll talk, Helen said. Maybe not now, maybe not a day or a year, but sooner or later you will. I can wait. I'm very good at that, too.